What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the King's Court with me, Vincent Miracle, here for Fansided.com, GoldenGateSports.com, and SatKingsNations.com. So be sure to go to all those websites for all of your Kings news. Joining me, as always, who has the Bobby Jackson jersey in the background, Ryan Hernandez. Ryan, tell everyone what is up.
Hey, how's it going, Kings fans? It's one day until the lottery. So excited for the lottery, get to find out where the Kings pick. So let's get this show on the road, Vince.
Not only is it one day for the lottery, but it's also one more day until the city council meeting. One more day until the city of Sacramento can start putting shovels in the ground and start building the new downtown arena. Tuesday is going to be crazy, and for those who don't know, this is the Kings Court where Ryan and I give you Kings fans another outlet for Kings news. If this is the first time you ever joining us, that's literally what the Kings Court is. We like to stir up the conversation. We love giving our takes on the team. We write for all these multiple websites, and we give you breaking news for SatKingsNation.com and the multiple other websites that we do the show for. So yeah, big things are happening, and I just have a scenario to throw at you, Ryan, to see as as fellow Kings fans, just like you and me, and everyone out there. Leave your comments in the comment section because I want to know what you think. What if this happens tomorrow? There's a chance the Kings can get a top 3 pick. What if the Kings get the 3rd pick and the city approves all of this? How crazy would that be? The city of Sacramento would go berserk. I would have the funnest time writing this story about what just would happen on this Tuesday. And if you guys don't also know, Ryan and I are doing a live show tomorrow to cover the entire NBA lottery. So if you can't watch it on a TV screen, you can't listen to a radio, pull out your phone, go on YouTube, set it right there. We're going to give off the numbers of the draft here, where the Kings will be picking, potential prospects, the people that we both like. That show might be an hour long for all I know, and I'll just have to edit it out later. But it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. Can't wait to do it. Starts around 4:30, I believe. So let's keep into it with that. But Ryan, what if that happens? What if the Kings get the number 3 pick and they get approved? Like, how crazy of news would that be as a Kings fan for you?
Well, that would probably be the most exciting thing to happen to Sacramento since the Kings announced that they were going to stay. So, it's got to be really big. Because the last time that the Kings had the first pick was way back. I can't even remember when they had that first pick, or even in the top 3. So it's been quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and it's been something that the Kings fans need. Like, let's say the Kings get a Joel Embiid, a Jabari Parker. I'm not saying this is gonna happen. I'm just saying, what if? And leave your comments in the comment section. If you have that top 3 pick and then the Kings get this approval, who are you drafting? How excited would you be? Hit the like button, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section. So this episode, the title says it all. We're going to be reviewing the NBA Combine. It's been going on for the past few days now. I had a 3-day Combine. Ryan, what were your biggest takeaways from this NBA Combine this time? You had players like Noah Vonleh, you had Marcus Smart, then you also had players like Jabari Parker, Andrew Wiggins, Dante Exum sitting out of the first day of doing actual drills. So, give me your, quick impressions of what you took away from this NBA Draft Combine.
Well, the less known players really surprised me this time in the NBA Combine because guys like Rodney Hood put up some really good shooting numbers. CJ Fair had some good numbers, and then they had Zach LaVine showed that he was more than just the guy that can dunk. So I think that's really exciting about this draft is we get to see more players than just the big names in there, and you get to show what they have to offer.
Yeah, for me, one of the biggest takeaways I took was one player out of day one. This is just basically day one, and it's I can never pronounce his first name and I can never pronounce his last name, but it's Antetokounmpo, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. His older brother, who was in the D League, he came in and his biggest problem was he can't shoot the basketball. But during the shooting drills, I believe he was top 7 to have the best percentages from 3-point range and spot ups. or from 3-point range and moving on the jumper or shots on the move. So, that's kind of impressive. I mean, we're not saying he's a shooter, but I mean, the potential is there for him to be one if he can hit shots maybe in the top 7 with all the other small forwards. He's a great defensive player. Everyone knows that. He has great athleticism. But I mean, could that be like a Thabo player that the Kings could look at maybe if they buy their way into the second round? We don't know. I'm just saying that was one takeaway that I really saw during the first day that I was like, wow, keep an eye on that guy. Another guy was a player that you brought up the first time we started talking about prospects, who I actually thought surprised me. I mean, I didn't think he was like an out there type of player. I mean, he's in talks for being a lottery player. That's Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood really did surprise me with his shot is very nice. He's more quick than I expected him to be. I thought he was a bit slow watching a lot of the college games. He looked like a little slow, a little step behind, but he looked quicker at the combine. I mean, it might just be me. Maybe it's just like a different way that we're seeing the games now, or seeing them practice now. But I mean, those were the two biggest takeaways from day one. Ryan, day 2 was measurements. A lot of people are going to talk about the obvious, but go ahead and bring out your impression after day 2.
Well, it was really interesting to see how their dimensions and stuff of these players. It's like amazing to see some of these players like Noah Vonleh. That guy is ridiculously long. He had his 6'9", or he's 6'9" with his shoes.
Yeah,
Almost
6'8"
6'10"
in socks.
Yeah, and 6'8" in socks. And then he has his 7'4" wingspan with 11-inch width and 9-inch length on hands. He has huge hands. He has the biggest hands in the combine. So that's really like exciting for a player to see a player that has those kind of dimensions in this draft. It's really exciting to have that. And then they had Zach LaVine with his 41.5 max vertical that he had.
You brought up the vertical. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but did you see Andrew Wiggins' vertical picture? He didn't do that at the combine. He did that on his own to basically say, I'm not going to be doing anything, and he still did that picture, and that thing is drawing so much buzz. I think that's crazy. Like, if you're already going to do a vertical leap, why not do it at the combine? That just didn't make any sense to me, but sorry to interrupt you. I was just wondering if you saw the picture.
Yeah. Someone posted it on the Kings app, and I saw that, so yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And then,
okay, see.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were done, but one of the biggest takeaways I took from day 2, measurement and weight-wise, was Marcus Smart. That dude's a diesel. That man's a truck. For a point guard, that guy was, I believe it was like 200 and something pounds. All I know is I remember that he weighed more than one of the tallest centers in the draft. The tallest center weighs less than a point guard who will be handling the ball. And Marcus Smart, I mean, I've said it so many times, he's in my top 5 big board. I like him. I like Ennis. I'm going to get into this more later, basically tomorrow. So prep all for that. Get ready for the top 5 prospects. On the website, satkingsnation.com, I'll be writing my top 5 big board for the point guards, shooting guards, small forward, and center position. My power forward position. And then both Ryan and I, we've already discussed this before. We're both going to give you our top 5 prospects that the Kings should look at. I'll give mine, and then the next day or two, Ryan will post his. And so stay tuned on the Sack Kings Nation for that. Lots of stuff coming. But out of that measurement day, I thought Marcus Smart really surprised me. Dante Exum kind of surprised me as well. For being such a tall guy at 6'6", he was very, very quick, with his agility drills. So that was one of the biggest takeaways for me on day 2. Day 3, it was kind of like with the 5-on-5 drills. So wasn't it? I believe it was like the 5-on-5, 2-on-2 drills and stuff like that. So, what were your biggest takeaways from day 3, and basically your overall review of the combine, and what major things, because it keeps replaying over and over on ESPN. What major things should people possibly look at that they might have missed last time?
Well, they might have missed some of the players that really stood out. Like, there was Aaron Gordon that stood out throughout the combine in different aspects, and then there was Tyler Ennis that always seems to surprise everyone with his basketball skills and know-how. And it's just that what you would see in these players, it's amazing though, because the people would say that these players are not in top 10, but then you see them in the combine, and then they make you think again. You know, they definitely make you think again because of their measurements, their skill that they show throughout the combine, and then their quickness and speed and all that.
Yeah, I think Aaron Gordon's a top 10 draft pick. I'm saying that right. He's top 10. One of the biggest players who I think that might not be top 10 that could possibly get there because of his confidence and, kind of the player that he's showing out to be, Tyler Ennis. He's been talking about how he believes he's like he's the best point guard in this draft and things like that. And people are overlooking him. And of course, I'm just paraphrasing what he said here, but that is basically the context of what he's saying. He's like, I'm the best point guard out of this draft. I'm the best point guard draft prospect. Like, look at me. Like, you're overlooking. He's projected 16 to possibly the second round. And I highly doubt he drops to the second round. But those are possible things. Also, Grant Napier, Shabazz Napier is another player who, just because he's older, he's possibly a very late first round draft, but possible second round as well because of his age and stuff like that. So I think those are players to really look for and see how they're doing. Again, I really liked Rodney Hood. Again, I liked Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother, the other Antetokounmpo, his older brother. So those were one of my biggest takeaways from the combine. I think a lot of this is kind of just really getting me more and more excited to see who the Kings work out and things like that. So, Ryan, before we move on to the fan questions and getting ready to wrap up the show and prep everyone for tomorrow, give me your, top 3 players and why they're your top 3 players that the Kings really need to look at from this draft combine that you took away. Okay, because of this, you need to look at him because of these reasons.
Well, if the Kings somehow get into the second round, I doubt that they do, but if somehow they get in the second round, I say look at C.J. Fair, because that guy really showed that he can shoot, and he really showed that he can jump higher than people thought he could. So it's one of those players that is kind of hidden because of all of the other talents out there, and so I think that he should definitely be looked at if the Kings get into the second round. But in the first round, they definitely need to look at Tyler Ennis. That guy he's going to be a very good point guard in this league. It's just, you could just see it because of his basketball IQ, his willingness to pass, his overall understanding of the game, and his skill level. He's just going to be a good player. It's just a matter of time in the league. And then there is Rodney Hood. I said this way back in, I think, my first video or my second video, that the Kings need to look at Rodney Hood. And I got a lot of bad fan mail for that one, but I'm going to say it again. Rodney Hood is the real deal. He can shoot the lights out. He's a very good player. And, just to put his numbers out there, his shooting numbers in the combine, he shot 69% on all drills combined.
Wow. That's It's an impressive stat line right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my top three prospects from this draft combine that the Kings should automatically look at, whether they're number 3 to number 7 to number 10. Any of those numbers. The first one I'm always gonna say it, and you need to look at Marcus Smart. If you don't know what's going to happen with Isaiah Thomas, Marcus Smart is one of those players because he's so big, because he has that handle. He's been compared to a Tyreek Evans. I think he has a better shot than Tyreek Evans, but that's just me. I could be completely wrong, but that's how I feel. But he's one of those players who can, whether Isaiah Thomas stays or goes, Marcus Smart can play both the 1 and the 2 spot. He has a great handle. He's tall enough to guard the point guards, let's say, of a bigger point guard, and Isaiah Thomas can guard the 2. So, I mean, those are possible scenarios that could happen. Or Marcus Smart can take over the spot. Another player, also, you've already mentioned him, Tyler Ennis. I think Tyler Ennis has a lot of skill. His questionability is also his consistency on his shot, but he's pass first minded. And that's what I like about him. He's pass first minded. Excuse me. He has quick hands. He's a good player. He's a good fundamental player. I think that he's going to need time to develop, but he has the potential to be a great point guard. I would say a really good point guard. I want to see him play in an NBA game before I can say great, but he has the potential to be a really good point guard in this league, especially when you watch his days at Syracuse. He's very, very talented, very, 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 very smart, high basketball IQ. The third one, and I have 3 and 4. They're battling right here too. Also, on the news when they talk about them is Aaron Gordon and excuse me, Noah Vonleh. Allergies, guys. Sorry. Aaron Gordon and Noah Vonleh. Those two are, battling back and forth between possible top 7 to top 10 picks. And I really like these two players. Aaron Gordon, I think he's gotten so overhyped because of all the skill he has, the leaping abilities, and people have sometimes compared him to a Blake Griffin skill set, to that he's been overlooked now and he's starting to drop. Where Vonleh, they're looking at his size and the nice form at his jump shot and things like that. It's starting to build up. Aaron Gordon had a lot of hype. Now it's starting to mess with him. Vonleh had nothing, and now he's showing a bit more and more and more from Indiana. And it's just going stock rising, and I think now they're finally colliding at a point where they're like this. And it's going to be very interesting. I think the Kings need to look at both of those players, and we'll get more into it tomorrow. I really want to save a lot of this for tomorrow, but I wanted to give you guys our top 3 before we move on to fan questions. Now, if you have a question that you want to get on the show, you can email your questions to sknarticles@gmail.com, or you can tweet your questions into the show at sknarticles on Twitter, or tweet me or Ryan. Ryan, your Twitter handle is?
At King Nandish, Ryan.
That's right, and mine is at VM Center. So either way, if you want to tweet us, you want to email, you want to do anything like that, we're also on the Kings app. We always come like 30 minutes to an hour before the show, or even like a few hours before the show. We'll put it in the beginning of the day and say, hey, we're taking questions for the live show today. Start listening, and we'll read them. And, of course, we will give you that shout-out during the show. And this week we only have one question, and I can't really pronounce your name, but it's from Bailey X something. Let me try to pronounce it here. Bailey X. Okay. Anyways, your question is Bailey. Bailey Alex 223. That's the name. Bailey Alex 223. Basically, the question is, how many years do you think the Kings? How many years are the Kings away from the playoffs?
That's a really good question. I think if the Kings get the number 3 pick and they're able to keep Isaiah Thomas and Rudy Gay, I say within this next season. That's after this next season would make the playoffs if they keep those players. But if they lose Rudy Gay, or they lose Isaiah Thomas, or they lose both, it's going to take 2, 3, maybe 4 years for them to get back in the playoffs.
What if they lose one and keep the other? Like, let's say the Kings lose Rudy Gay but keep Isaiah Thomas? Do they still have a chance of making the playoffs? Or vice versa?
Well, it really depends on their draft pick because
Okay, they're projected 7.
okay,
Let's say
they're
they get
projected
to the
7.
7th pick. They draft Marcus Smart, like a lot of people have been, thinking the Kings are looking at is Marcus Smart, or even a Noah Vonleh or Aaron Gordon. So let's, pick out of those players: Noah Vonleh, Aaron Gordon, Marcus Smart. You pick the player. If the Kings lose Rudy Gay or Isaiah Thomas, you decide that too. Do the Kings make the playoffs?
Well, if they got Marcus Smart and they kept Rudy Gay and pretty much the same team, I say it would take 3 years for them to get in the playoffs.
3 years to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, what? I'm going to answer that same question that I basically just gave you. In my scenario, I would say the Kings, they do a sign and trade deal to lose Isaiah Thomas. So Isaiah Thomas is gone. You trade you keep Marcus Smart, you keep Rudy Gay, and then you just trade for assets with Isaiah Thomas and Jason Thompson and possibly get another first-round pick, second-round pick, and then some veteran players. The Kings, I still believe, no matter what happens in this draft, whether they keep Isaiah Thomas or Rudy Gay, I still think they're probably 3 to 5 years away. And, people can hate on me for that, and people can disagree with me, and you can say, hey, the Kings had injuries, they dealt with so many trades, we don't really know the team. I was like, but at the same time, you still don't know the identity of this team. And when you think of Sacramento Kings basketball, what do you think? Yeah, you don't think of much. You think of one player, maybe two. You think of DeMarcus Cousins and Isaiah Thomas. When you think of Spurs basketball, you think of fundamentals. When you think of the Heat, you think of running fast. Think of the Pacers. It's defense first. Each team has an identity. When you say Sacramento Kings basketball, what do you hear? What do you think of? And that's a big question, and I think that's something that really needs to be hit on the head, and the Kings need to find an identity before they can even become a playoff team. So, let me know what you think. How many years, Bailey Alex, thank you for your question. How many years do you think the Kings are away from making the playoffs? Kings fans who's watching this show, how many years do you think the Kings are away from making the playoffs and things like that? Everyone, that's our show. Tune in tomorrow for the first time ever, live lottery, NBA draft lottery show of the Kings Court. Ryan, is there anything you want to add before the end of this show?
Just excited for the city council meeting and for the lottery. So can't wait for them.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited. Also, before we go, guys, SatKingsNation.com. We are doing a poll right now of what you guys think the Kings should do with their draft pick. Speaking of all this draft talk, NBA Combine, it's called, the article is Will the Kings Draft or Trade? That's the name of the article piece. Read it, and at the very bottom there's a place where you can place your vote. You click it. You can either choose to sign into your Twitter account, Facebook, Google account, or you can keep your vote anonymous. But go there, vote. Let us know. They can even trade up, trade down, or just draft with their pick. Let us know what you guys think. Again, subscribe. We love subscribers. We love when you guys hit that like button. Leave your comments in the comment section. Ryan and I are always checking those. We love communicating with you guys. Leave your comments in the comment section at SatKingsNation.com. We have those there. We love to hear your input on all of our articles, all of our pieces. If you guys feel differently, let us know why. We love to get in debates. Not one thing is right. This is all, thoughts from Kings fans like Ryan and I to you. So, Ryan, let everyone know again where they can find you online.
Well, they can find me on Twitter at KingNandisRyan. They can find me on the Kings app at KingNandis. And they should check out the website, as always, at SatKingsNation.com.
All right, guys, you can find me on Twitter at VM Center. You can find me on Snapchat at VM Center. You can find me on Instagram at VM Center. You can find me on the Kings app at VM Center. But then again, you can also find all of our articles and things like that on fansided.com, GoldenGateSports.com, and our website, SatKingsNation.com. Again, all of you guys, come and join us. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave your comments. We love talking to the Kings fans. We love doing this show. Again, tune in tomorrow, 4:30, live episode of the NBA Draft Lottery. And we're giving a lot of information tomorrow and also news on what happens at the City Council meeting. Ryan, before we sign out of this show, is there anything last inputs from the Combine, from this episode, the excitement for tomorrow, that you want to say to everybody?
Well, let's see. Can't wait to see where the Kings pick, because I would like to see them have a chance at Aaron Gordon and Noah Vonleh. I really like to see them get that chance to get those guys, because they're the real deal. They are.
All right, guys, that's our show for today. As always, we leave you with the peace sign. Throw them up, Ryan. Peace. All right, everybody.